Hello, welcome to the channel. My name is Peter. Today I'm going to show you how to build reusable React components. So if you watch my front-end video, you would see that I usually build some small components like that I reuse everywhere in my code. So today I'm going to show you how to build that. So here I'm right there in codesandbox.io. This is what I'm going to be using. I've already created a TypeScript project, and then right here I already have installed Tailwind. So if you look at this place, you see my Tailwind configuration. So I've installed Tailwind here for this because I want to use it for my style. And then if you go to style.css, I have added the Tailwind base components and utilities. Then right here back to the app.css, I've just cleaned it up and I am using a simple Tailwind class here. I'm saying this will be display flex and all that. This is not the point, so I don't need to be explaining the CSS there. And if you go to index.tsx, just the usual React thing. So if I have created a component called a folder called components, and inside it a file called button.tsx, which is basically empty right now. Sorry. So how are we going to do this? I just want to show you using this button as an example, where I'm going to create a simple button component that can be reused throughout the whole code base. You can do this for input field, text area, for different components that you have, different things that you have in your React code. But I'm just going to show you using React button as an example. So right here, I'm going to say export const button, and it's going to be, for now, it's just going to return a button that says button. All right, so going back to the app.tsx, and I'm going to import that. Let me render it as a button, and then I have it imported right here. So you see a single button here. Let me render two. So I have two buttons rendered here. Remember, they are flex because of what I've done here. All right, now back to the buttons component. We want to, first of all, make this button reusable, like we've said. So we are using TypeScript. We need to provide types for it. So I'm going to say interface, and I'll call it button props. Now I have to pass in the props. A button should have a text, so I'm going to say text, and text is compulsory, so that is that. A button for us would also have an onClick, so I'm going to say onClick, which is of type void. It doesn't return anything. So when you use this button, you have to provide text and you have to provide onClick. So if I go back to app.tsx now, if I save this, okay, I've not used it yet, so it wouldn't even work. But if I come here and I make this a functional component, so I'm going to import fc from React, but let me just say fc, and I have to say that it's going to take button props, and then it says it's complaining about fc. I have to import that from React. Yeah, so import fc from React. That's just functional component. Now if I go back to this place, I have an error which simply says that I have a missing property. I have the text and the onClick missing. That is because they are required. Now I want to also add one more thing, which is a class name. So I want to, and it's going to be optional. I want you to be able to pass styles to these. So however you want to style it, that is a business, but I can pass a default style. For example, I can say that I would have a background of green -500. So the button should have a background of green -500, a padding of 2, and it should be rounded -MD by default. So if I save that, you see the two buttons, they now have that style. Now with this in place, let me come here and extract. So I'm going to say, give me text, give me class name, give me the onClick property. And then I can come here and say that onClick is going to be whatever you pass here. Class name, no, class name cannot be 2. I'm coming back to that class name. And then instead of just saying button, it's going to be text. Whatever you type is going to be what will render. So nothing is typed, so that is why this is here. If you go back to here, nothing was provided. There's an error that is being thrown that we need to attend to. So let me just quickly attend to it. So I'm going to say that first of all, we have text, and I'll say button 1, and then we have on click, which is just going to alert button 1 clicked. Then I have another text, which is button 2, and on click alert button 2. All right. So now we are back. So we are back to what we had before. So I come back to this place now. I now need to use my class name. So I pick the class name. How do I use it? I'm going to change this to be like this, and then like this, and then I have to wrap this in template literal. So I'm going to provide these 2 backticks, and then right after my default style, I want to provide my custom style. So that is going to be here. So this is basically right after my default style. This will be my custom style. So I can go back now and style one of these buttons differently. So if I go back here and I go to button 1, for example, I can change the color of button 1 to see the background color to be BG-red. And if I save, it becomes red. So whatever I provide, that is what it's going to be. I can change the padding and say this one will be padding that's 6. It's going to be 6 pixel. And if you see kind of a lot of expansion for this guy, but then that is not what I need. I can make it more rounded. Let's say rounded.xl. And you can see that. Yeah, just this is my own custom style for this guy. It is still the same button component, but then I provided my own custom style. And this is how you're able to create a component that you can still customize it, but then it still uses the base styles that you have provided. Now this is not all, because now this button is like this, but what if I want to pass things like area label? Right now I can't pass that here, or even if I pass that here, if I say area dash label, let's say button 1, if I go to this place and I say preview console, and I go to elements, and I go to which element do I want to look at? Let me see if I'm able to pick that button out. I don't want to look at styles, I want to look at the HTML elements. How can I see it? Let me see. Is there a way for me to actually close? Okay, yes. So if I go to body and I have a div, what is all this? Where is my HTML? What is this? Oh God, I can't find my okay, it should be inside the root, I believe. So yeah, this is it. So this is the button. Now if you notice, there is no area label. This area label here is not there. It is not present. So but this is part of the button. There's so many things you can pass to a button besides just text, on click, and class name. So how do we catch up for that? Let's go back to, let me take this back. Let's go back to button.tsx, and we are going to see that button props extends. We're going to say it extends HTML attributes. Now this is imported from React, HTML attributes. And then what HTML attribute does it extends? We're going to say HTML button elements. So I need to go up here and import HTML attributes. Okay, I think I need to type it then. HTML attributes. Yeah. So now that we have extended this, we are telling this guy that we're telling this button component that okay, you accept this, and then you are extending this HTML attribute, which is HTML button, which also already has this, but then we are specifying this. We say okay, this must be text, there must be on click, and then class name is optional. Now, how do I use it here? I'm going to come to this place, and that will be the last thing to pick, and I'm going to say props. So that's going to be anything that you pass. That is what that is going to stand for. So now, like I said, let me show this. Go back to this place again. If you look at that button 1, there is no area label to it. But now let's add a prop. Let's go here and say props. Props. Now if I save, if you notice, you now have area label button 1. So that is because of what we did. Now you can pass any other thing that you want, ID, whatever you want to pass, you can pass it to it and it will reflect there. For example, if I say ID and I say button -1, if I save that, right here you see ID button -1. Okay, even though I don't need anything like ID, but yeah, so that is how we're able to pass that. So in the case that you need to pass, you don't know what you might pass, but you feel that it is not going to be everywhere, it is not going to be needed everywhere, then you can just spread it as props like this, and then this simply means that any other thing that is passed into this, accept it. So we are going to be accepting any other thing that is passed. So very easy, very simple like this. You've created a reusable component. Now I usually like this when it comes to styling because I can create a default style, but anywhere that style deviates, I just have to do a little change and I get that, but I'm still using the same base component. Yeah, so if you watched up to this point, I know you're subscribed to the channel. Please hit the subscribe button, like, comment, and I will see you in the next one.